Hi, I'm Kate Walters and this is Studio Kind, and I'm standing here on the eve of my exhibition, and I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the work in this exhibition. It's called The Unspeakable, and it's about what is unspeakable, or which is often unspoken, which is trauma and things that happen to us which may be invisible or may be visible, and how we hold them in our bodies, and how they can come out through dreams and the creative process and memory. It's about memory as well, and it's about desire and longing and things that are unfulfilled, and also about injury. And early trauma can result in injury to the psyche, which affects our relationships later in life, and that's been my experience. And that kind of forms the seedbed of much of the work in here. But in the creative process, I aim to transform the experience into something else, so that it's not kind of pinned like a dead butterfly to the experience, but it kind of opens it out and opens out other things. So I'm just going to say a little bit about this picture here, which was in what was then the Jerwood Drawing Prize, it was now the Trinity Boy Wharf Drawing Prize, and it's a watercolour from 2008. And it's about, and I did it in a kind of unconscious way, really. It's a watercolour on gessoed paper, which is a way I used to like working, because if you gesso the paper, you can change the image. You don't, with watercolour, if you don't gesso or size the paper, it sinks in and you can't change it. But with this way of working, I could keep kind of working with it and let the image arrive and kind of arise out of the surface and out of the process. And it was just after the death of my mother, and I was grappling with my thoughts around mothering and the feminine and the female, and it was to do with also the female or feminine in a wider sense, to do with the environment and the earth, the planet, and how depleted it is. And this body, this fecund and full-breasted woman, everything's pouring out of her, and she's feeding herself, and it's like this cycle that's kind of becoming ruptured. So it's about a kind of rupture, and a lot of my work has a sense of rupture, something breaking. But sometimes things have to break, and when they break, something else comes through. And I guess that's what it's about, but it's very painful. And this process of rupture or breaking could also be seen as an initiation, or initiations in the plural. And in indigenous cultures, they have initiatory ceremonies to help people go through passages in their life and transitions from one kind of part of their life to another. We don't have those in our culture, sadly. And so the initiations kind of happen not exactly by accident, but one has to wonder if there's something in the psyche that makes things kind of happen, so that we do have those initiatory processes anyway. And in the essay written by Joseph Stewart, a friend of mine, he kind of goes into that in more depth, and that's available to read in the gallery. So this picture here is about desire. It's about the masculine and the feminine. It's about attraction. It's about the female figure here. She's got 3 breasts. So this, again, it's this theme of the feminine as this kind of bountiful figure that's opening. And there's ancient Sumerian tale of Inanna, which resonates a lot with me, about the passionate, erotic female. And that's something that even before I read about Inanna, also known as Ishtar, that's what I felt. It was kind of in me. And so that knowing comes in the work. So if we just pan up a fraction here, I've called this after Cimabue, because I love early Renaissance and Renaissance frescoes, and I spent a lot of time kind of studying them in Italy. And it's not really like a Cimabue piece, but I just admire his work greatly. And that Cimabue and Giotto and Sassetta really, and Piero della Francesca as well, they really inspire me. And I love to just spend time with their paintings, also Orthodox church paintings. Anyway, going back to this one, it's to do with, I saw this, that's where it's coming from, from a drawing, tiny drawing I did this big, in a museum in Padua, and it's a horse body on its back, and it's the bones, and it's carrying a warrior. So this great big tomb dedicated to the horse and the warrior in the museum next to the Giotto Chapel. And it was just, because I've got a very big connection with horses, and I saw this horse lying there cradling the body of the warrior. So I made many drawings. And it's also recalls an earlier painting of mine, which isn't in this exhibition, which is in my studio, and I'll never sell it. And it's to do with the body of the horse, exactly the same theme, but that's something I actually experienced, of the body of the horse actually carrying me, or the figure, the human, in this kind of embrace, this supportive embrace. And so that was, I did that before I saw the warrior horse in the museum. I did that many years ago. So this here is, there's this female figure kind of arising from the belly of the horse, and the horse is kind of carrying and supporting and also being very open. So there's a kind of suggestion of a crucifixion there as well. And these two people watching, they're like Adam and Eve and the expulsion from paradise. And then there's another horse here. And also the continuation, the way the figures kind of join one into the next. I just like the fluidity of that. And I don't know. Sometimes you don't know why you like pictures.